Hey YouTube, this is my third piece in my series on firearm basic terminology. I'm going to go over a little bit of what's up in pistol. Sorry if some of the stuff in the past videos and or this video is so obvious it's insulting, but I just want to make sure that the real and true basics are covered for anyone who just doesn't know anything about firearms. This gun's been pre-checked, it is empty. And the first and most basic thing, of course, are along the top of the gun are the sights. These two dots in the back here are the rear sight. Single dot in the front there is the front sight. These particular sights are night sights, so they've got tritium gas in them, which is radioactive, and it has a half-life of 13 years. And so as that element decays, it puts off a glowing green light, so these can be seen 24/7. Other night sights have similar materials in them like you'd find in a remote, that as they sit in the light they charge up and then they glow during the night, but they've got to be recharged pretty often or they'll go out. Some other sights like to use fiber optics, which kind of capture ambient light and make your sight picture a little bit brighter. And some sites even use a combination of, tritium and fiber optic, or whatever that glow material is in fiber optics. But beyond that, moving across the top of the gun, these ridges right here are called stippling, or stifling, however you want to pronounce it, and therefore grip when you're moving the slide back and forth. Some firearms have some stippling here at the front. I don't think mine needs that. I don't think most guns need that. I just think that encourages you to put your hand right in front of the muzzle, which is, of course, a bad idea. Moving on down, the back of the gun here, where your palm goes, is called the back strap. A lot of guns actually have removable and interchangeable back straps to change the thickness of the grip you hold. From there we have the slide lock and slide release. I've only got two hands, so I'm going to have to cut to show you. But this top part right here is called the slide, and as you can see here, when the slide is pulled back and the slide lock is actuated, it actually holds the slide back on the gun. From there, when you're holding it, if you push the slide release down, it releases the slide. Slightly below the slide release is the magazine release. When you push this button, the magazine falls out of the bottom of the gun. The magazine, of course, is the removable part of the gun that carries the ammunition for it. Sorry I'm cutting so much, I just wanted to make this video actually coherent. Sorry I keep cutting so much, I just wanted to make this video actually coherent. Above the magazine release and beside the slide release and slide lock is the takedown lever. This looks different on many guns, but the point of the takedown lever is that you can take the gun apart. All you have to do is press the takedown lever down, slide the slide forward, and the gun comes apart into two pieces. As I mentioned earlier, this top piece is called the slide. The bottom piece is called the frame. Underneath the slide, we have this spring right here, which is the slide return spring. Every time the gun's fired, the slide recoils to the rear, and that spring will make sure to push it back into its proper position. Obviously, as detailed in my other videos, this top portion here, coming out the front, running through underneath, if you can see it, is obviously the barrel. And of course, inside where the bullet is held is called the chamber. The front, where the bullet comes out of, is called the muzzle. And the back, where the back of the bullet rests, where the primer rests against, is called the breech face. Out of the breech face comes the striker in this case, which is the same thing as a firing pin, to fire the bullet. This notch right here is called the extractor. The extractor will grab the back lip of a spent shell casing and pull it out as the slide returns, shooting it out the side of the gun and creating space for the next round to pop up into the chamber. Moving on down to the frame, these little silver pieces right here, mirroring on the other side, right there, are called the slide guide rails. They keep the slide moving in a constant direction, keeping everything in line, keeping the gun accurate. And oftentimes on guns, especially like a SIG, the slide rails will run the full length of the gun. Glock slide rails are smaller though, to minimize friction and keep the gun shooting and running even when it's dirty. Sacrifice a little bit of accuracy for a little bit of reliability. The silver piece in the top right here, running the length, is called the trigger connector. And finally, one of the most often confused terms of pistol terminology is single action or double action. This Glock is single action. Action refers to how many actions happen when I pull the trigger. When I pull the trigger on this Glock, since it's single action, only one action occurs. That is the release of the firing pin or the striker. On a double action gun, when you pull the trigger, it both cocks the gun and fires. This is the best demonstration I can give with my finger, but where this is a double action gun like a revolver, as you pull the trigger, the hammer would creep back and then release, striking the firing pin and firing the gun. Since this Glock is single action, it doesn't cock the gun. So since I've pulled it once now, no matter how many times I pull it, it's not going to click again. Where this is a double action gun, every time I pulled the trigger, you would hear a click. And every time I pulled the trigger, it would fire if it were loaded. Glock gets around that though, because every time I fire, the slide rocks back, which reloads or recocks the gun. That's all I've got. Sorry it was so choppy. Hope it was informational for anybody new to firearms. Thanks for watching.